Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is lesson 547. The title of today's lesson is the difference between above and over. Okay, somebody wants a screenshot? Do it right now. Let's get right to it. Now, above and over have a lot of crossover. There's a lot of situations where both can be used. But yet there are other situations where one is much better than the other, and the second one may be considered incorrect or improper or just completely sounds awkward. So let's cover it. Here's the first part. Above and over can both be used for measurements on a scale. So scale is the important point here. Here's some examples. If you earn over 100,000 US dollars, you will go into the next tax bracket. So that's a scale of how much you earn. So you can also say if you earn above $100,000, you will go into the next tax bracket. So they both have checks. They're both correct. We have a second example here. Same thing. She has a fever over 100 degrees. Remember degrees, this is a scale. It's measuring your temperature. She has a fever above 100 degrees. So in this case, either could be used. So there's definitely crossover here. All right, now, however, do not use above with a quantity or number of things. Now, this is not on a scale. His grandfather is above 90 years old. Of course, with the X, this is wrong. So with years or age, we should say over. Somebody is over 30 years old or over 40 years old. We would use over. Above sounds awkward here. It's not correct. She has above 50 cookbooks. Again, with the X, this would be wrong. Sounds awkward. It'd probably be understood by a native speaker, but it's not correct. She has over 50 cookbooks. That's fine. Or in this particular situation, you can also say more than. She has more than 50 cookbooks. That would be fine as well. All right, let's continue. All right, here's our second part. If talking about height or position, both over and above could be used, especially if it's kind of close. So here's our first two examples. They both have checks. She placed a photo on the mantle above the fireplace. All right, in same situation, you could say she placed the photo on the mantle over the fireplace. Both, that's fine. She placed a poster on the wall above her bed. She placed a poster on the wall over her bed. Again, in both of these cases, above and over is fine for both examples. All right, here's our exception again. However, if one object is considerably higher than another, or there is a considerable amount of space between them, above is more common. All right, so we have an example for this one. They placed a billboard above the highway for passing cars to see. So, of course, a billboard, this is much, much higher off the ground, and it would be, probably probably 100 feet or so above the highway. So cars can see it from a distance. So this one would definitely be above. You should use above in this situation. All right, now we have another exception. However, if one thing is at a higher level than another, and the first one is moving, then we use over. So the key part here is moving. Okay. All right, so a blimp flew over the stadium with an advertisement. So, of course, anything that's flying, so this would, of course, also apply, to planes, helicopters, birds, any animals that could fly or anything like that. You would say that they flew over, basically. All right, and let's go on. Here's our third part. Use over to refer to a period of time or distance if it is over the amount mentioned. Well, of course. Here we have an example. He worked for over 10 years for that company. Yeah, if you used above, it sounds awkward. He worked above 10 years for that company? No, that sounds weird. Here's for distance. That is over 50 miles from here. I don't want to drive that far. That is above 50 miles from here. That sounds a little weird. Sounds a little awkward. So again, over would be better here. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope you got a better feel of when you should use one instead of the other. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.